Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Monday morning. We start our show from yesterday, the national championship game between South Carolina and UCLA. We were hoping for another great game. Instead, we got another great beatdown. Kiki Rice with a step-back three puts UCLA up 11 after one. They played almost the entire first quarter without All-American Lauren Betts. Needed her inhaler in the first quarter. South Carolina was the one struggling for air. Gianna Neatkins, the pride of Duluth. Little fadeaway jumper. UCLA up 15. Now Betts is in the game. She's going to be the number one pick in the WNBA draft a week from tonight. Knocks down the open jumper. It's a 13-point halftime lead. If you picked it up, hey, start of the second half, going to have a competitive game. Charlize Legg-Walker knocks down the three. 18-point lead. Then in transition, Jaime Jaquez, who was just fantastic. The block, and here they come in transition. I mean, 4 years ago, UCLA played in Brookings, South Dakota. Lost to South Dakota State in the women's NIT. Players who were on that team were playing last night. Betts wasn't one of them. Neatkins hits a corner three. She transferred in from Utah. She was a dynamite player in high school, Duluth Marshall. They outscored South Carolina 25-9 in the third quarter. They were rolling after the game was up by 30 at one point. UCLA has its first NCAA championship. They won titles before they were under the NCAA banner in women's basketball. It only seems fitting that one of the most successful basketball programs finally has a women's championship. 79-51 beatdown over South Carolina, led by 5 players, all in double figures. The great stat of this, and for those that despise what the portal is and what today is going to represent, because today is the open day of player movement in the women's basketball world, the last 173 points that UCLA scored were by seniors. That is a team that stuck together and was finally ready to get over the hump, and they did it after after South Carolina dethroned UConn on Friday to much fanfare and publicity after how that ended with Gino Auriemma and Dawn Staley. UCLA just said, we don't care. We're going to go out there and dominate, and they did. Betts had 14. Neatkins from Duluth had 15. Jaquez had 21. Kiki Rice had 10. Just looking, Rice and Jaquez played against the Jackrabbits a few years ago, which is just amazing to say that out loud, that this team has come that far in 4 short years. But they are the champs, as the women's basketball season is now officially over. And with that, we say good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hot Mic here on a Monday. I am Dom Izzo, host of said program here on the 6th day of April, 2026. First Monday of the month is set to rock and roll, and a lot to get to, unpack from a busy extended holiday weekend. We'll get to the Wolves and the Wild here in just a little bit, because the end of the regular season is nigh. The Wild have a week and a half to go. The Wolves have 4 games left in the regular season. The NBA regular season ends a week from yesterday, and the Wolves are spiraling out of control heading towards the finish line there. It may not be the end of the world, though, depending on matchups here, which we'll show you in just a little bit. I did mention today is D-Day. For those wondering, the Division I women's basketball portal window officially opens today for the next 15 days. North Dakota State has 1 player in so far. We'll get to that coming up. UND has a couple. The men's portal window officially opens tomorrow. Now, we already know who's going in. Unless there's any surprises over the next 24 hours or so. I think the guys that we expect to be in there are the ones that we've already reported on over the last 2 or 3 weeks or so. Now, it's the other side. Where are their destinations? It's not necessarily going in. Now it's, all right, where are these players going? How much are they getting? That's the part that we'll be following for the next little bit. So we'll have our eyes peeled on that over the next couple of weeks. And lots of other stories to get to here. We're now fully into draft month, with it coming up just 18 days away from the first round of the NFL draft in Pittsburgh. We'll get you ready for that. And as we mentioned, the national championship game on the men's side in Division I is tonight with Connecticut and Michigan. There is, of course, a angle here, local. We're always looking for that. You'll hear from Will Cheddar coming up later on in the show. Of course, he is the son of Garth Cheddar, former Bison wide receiver, and the Casey Morlock, of course, the outstanding the best women's basketball player in North Dakota State history. We'll hear from him coming up later on in the show. If you missed it, we had Casey on last week. We were trying to see if we could get it today. They said we have so much family coming to Indianapolis that it wasn't able to work, which totally understand that. But we'll hear from Will after he got some big minutes in Michigan's win over Arizona on the curb stomping of that game on Saturday. Hopefully we get a better championship game tonight. We'll preview that coming up later on in the show. But we have to start with the old Minnesota Twins, who've decided that they are in midseason form with the inability to hit. They've played 9 games. They have lost 6 of them so far this season. And if there's one common trait in the 6 defeats, is that they can't get anybody on base when they lose a game. Yesterday, with sunny skies at home against Tampa Bay, Matt Wallner started things brilliantly. Crushes this to deep right. Gave the Twins a 1-0 lead. And that was it for the offense, because they played 9 more innings and couldn't do anything. Junior Caminero, we saw him in the World Baseball Classic. Again, if you don't follow Tampa Bay Rays baseball, and I don't blame you, he's really good. Ties it off Simeon Woods Richardson at 1-1. The game would stay tied, top of the 7th. Rays have 2 on. Woods Richardson gets a nasty strikeout there on Joey DeLuca. Get the second out of the inning. Keep the Rays at bay. Same score, bottom of the 8th. Cody Clemens up with 2 on. Again, inability to hit with runners in scoring position. He grounds out, ends the inning. We play on to the 10th. Top of the 10th. Remember, he automatically get a runner on base. Richie Palacios hammers this. Who? Out there, almost into the patio area. That's a 2-run home run and a 3-1 Tampa Bay lead. Bases loaded. Caminero walk. Taylor Rogers didn't even come close to the strike zone there. 4-1 Tampa Bay going to the bottom of the 10th. Now, remember, again, in front of family and friends at Target Field yesterday. Josh Bell was the last hope. He lines out to right. Rays win it 4-1. I feel like Bob Uecker here. The Twins got 3 hits. 3 you-know-what hits. Not Simeon Woods Richardson's fault. He was great. 6 2/3, 5 hits, struck out 4. Walk 2. Nick Martinez, a no decision. Again, runners in scoring position. Twins were 0 for 5. Strikeout-wise, only struck out 7 times, but Clemens, I don't know what he's doing leading off. 0 for 4. Buxton 0 for 4. Luke Kershaw 0 for 4. Wallner had 2 of the 3 hits. Jeffers 0 for 4. Larnach 0 for 3. Tristan Gray 0 for 3. Brooks Lee 0 for 2. Not great. Back in action today as they open up a new series with Detroit. The Tigers come to town. Former number 1 overall pick Casey Mize will be starting for the Tigers. Joe Ryan goes for the Twins in a night game tonight, which should be awfully chilly at Target Field. I know what they announced attendance this weekend. Use your eyes, folks. We'll show you later on. If you watch the game Saturday, first off, it took me 3 times to figure out the Twins were playing a night game on April, whatever it was, 4th at home. Like, what? Why? that traditionally they've always played 1 o'clock games in the first half of the season. And then once school is out, then the calendar flips, and then they play night games at 6 o'clock on Saturdays. They reversed that, evidently, this season. And somebody's got to explain that to me, because you'll see it was snowing during the game Saturday night. I've been there. I was there 2013. I went. The Mets played the Twins, and I could see the snow piling up on my coat. They gave us free hot chocolate. It was great. It was not really conducive to play baseball in. I'm not saying for a roof or anything like that. Just wondering, if you had the chance to play during the day, why not take advantage of that? Be that as it may, they ended up losing anyway. So more on that coming up later on in the show. Now, across the way from Target Field, we had the Wolves playing last night. Now, Minnesota is in an all-out free fall here. We know Jaden McDaniels isn't coming back anytime soon. Anthony Edwards is in and out of the lineup nursing his sore knee. We started here the final week of the regular season. The Wolves are sitting in 6th. Hold on with the highlights just for a second while I set this up. The Wolves are starting in 6th. Playoff positioning is all that matters now. They're not going to be in the play-in tournament. We know that. But it's between Denver, Houston, and the Lakers is who potential playoff matchups could be with Minnesota. Houston is sitting there with Kevin Durant. They don't play a lick of defense. The Wolves have to play them later this week. That might not be the worst matchup in terms of tiebreaker, but you've got to get ahead of them. The Lakers were rolling until the last 3 days where both Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves got hurt. And meanwhile, there's Denver. And I know everybody was watching the Final Four Saturday. If you caught any of the Nuggets-Spurs games Saturday, it might have been the best game of the year in the NBA. And Denver is healthy with Aaron Gordon back. They still have Jokic. That's not who you want. And right now it looks like the Wolves are careening towards that. Last night it was Charlotte coming in. Now in past years, Charlotte's an automatic win, except the Hornets are better. And the Wolves are going the wrong way. Ayo DeSumo knocks down a step-back 3. Got the Wolves up by 3. And first half, honestly, looked great. Rudy goes in for an easy dunk. Again, it's a 4-point Minnesota lead. Charlotte, though, has got some dudes. Konkanipple's one of them. And one. Now it's a 1-point Minnesota lead. Here's Julius Randle. Puts the Wolves up 51-49 late in the first half. Bones Highland again. Plays like this. Hits a 3. It's 60-55 Minnesota. Second half, Charlotte went nuts. LaMelo Ball drives in and scores. Nas gets the nice feed back. It's a 1-point Charlotte lead. Kobe White, remember the Wolves are going to try and trade for him, except Charlotte got him from Chicago. Hits the 3. Hornets up 4. I mean, they've got dudes. Miles Bridges, pretty good. Hits that one. Now it's a 10-point. I mean, just like that, Charlotte went up 10. There's LaMelo Ball with the drive. He had 30. It's a 20-point Charlotte lead before anybody even really looked up. Drains another 3. Game's out of reach by then. They're up by 20. LaMelo went for 35 last night. Hornets roll. 122-108 the final in a game that was competitive at halftime, and by the middle of the fourth quarter, it was over. And the Wolves lose for the 4th time in the last 5 games. So with that, Minnesota now 46-32 with 4 games to go in the regular season. Here's what you need to know as you wake up this morning. Minnesota is firmly entrenched in the 6th spot in the Western Conference standings. Now the Lakers are barely, and I mean barely, hanging on to 3rd. Luka's gone overseas to get some sort of treatment for his hamstring. Austin Reeves is, now they're relying on 41-year-old or LeBron James, 43-year-old LeBron James, to somehow carry them, and Denver's coming like a freight train. Why I set all that up is the Nuggets have won 8 in a row. The Rockets have won 6 in a row. The Wolves have lost 3 in a row. and lost 4 out of 5. You want to play the Lakers because it doesn't look like Luka or Doncic is coming back anytime, or Luka or Austin Reeves coming back anytime soon. That's who you want. But instead, sure looks like Denver's coming like a freight train up to grab that third spot. Day off today. They're going to need it. They've got Indiana, who's been awful all year because Tyrese Halliburton tore his Achilles in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. That's tomorrow night on the road in Indiana. So if you can sink your sorrows in the Wolves, the Wild are here to tell you, hey, we're trending the other way. And suddenly, maybe getting home ice in the first round of the playoffs isn't out of the realm of possibility. Yesterday afternoon, played a wild game, no pun intended, with the Detroit Red Wings in Detroit, led by Kirill Kaprizov. The Wild were really good yesterday. And mind you, Detroit needs all the points they can get. They're trying to make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. They led the game 1-0 till Matt Boldy puts home his 41st goal of the season. Wild have a bona fide 1-2 combo in Kaprizov and Boldy. Apologize for all the highlights look. Not sure why they look all grainy like this, but we can still see Kaprizov score down low. His first of the game, first of 3, his 41st of the year on a great little tip. He's tremendous in front of the net. Makes it 2-1. Wild aren't done in the same period. Vladimir Tarasenko, remember he didn't score for the first month and a half of the year? Now he's got 22. Makes it a 3-1 Wild lead. They weren't done in the period. 4-goal period. Went from 1-0 to 4-1 as Kaprizov scores before the producer could even change cameras. His 42nd. And it's a 4-1 Minnesota lead. The Red Wings, though, come all the way back. Then Patrick Kane takes a terrible penalty. The Wild get a power play, and you don't give that guy any sort of room. Kaprizov bangs home a one-timer on a tremendous pass. That makes it 5-4 Minnesota. They get the points. The Red Wings get nothing, and they needed them. Wild win it 5-4 behind the hat trick from Kaprizov. So here we go now with a week and a half to go in the NHL regular season. Last night, if Colorado had beaten St. Louis, that would have locked up that the Wild would have played the Stars. Instead, the Blues beat Colorado in regulation. So that's not done yet. And lo and behold, here are the Wild now, 2 points back of Dallas. You can ignore everything else. All you're worried about is the Central Division right now. And heads up here, the Wild play the Stars coming up later this week. So they still have a chance to leapfrog them and get home ice, which, honestly, how much does it matter? It's a pretty big deal. You have a chance to host games 1, 2, 5, and 7. When the Wild have played on the road in Game 7s, think about in Vegas a few years ago. A chance to host would be a monster deal. We'll see if they can do it. They're trending in the right direction. That's where you want to go into the playoffs. They are in the Do I firmly believe the Wolves could turn it on? Sure. But they got to get healthy. And we know McDaniels isn't coming back for a while, it seems like. When the last update we got last week was week to week. That's not promising with the NBA playoffs start. Now, mind you, the play-in tournament takes a week. That starts on a Tuesday, wraps on a Friday, and then the NBA playoffs begin the following Saturday. So if you're hoping that McDaniels can come back, the NBA playoffs don't start for another 10 or so days, or longer than that, 15 or so days. There's a potential. But that's also working in the Lakers' favor to get Doncic and Austin Reeves back. We'll see. Great time of year, man. It's Masters Week. We've got the conclusion of the basketball season in college tonight. Playoffs are right around the corner in the NHL and the NBA. And, heck, if your baseball team doesn't have AA guys playing all over it, it's actually a pretty fun time to talk about. We got a packed show coming up for you here today on this Monday. We'll salute our best of the weekend coming up in just a few minutes at 9:35. Sam Herder is back with us. We'll chat some FCS football with our guy Sam, including the newest member to the FCS ranks in the University of West Florida. We've heard plenty about the Argonauts' potential to move up. They made it official late last week. Sam's in to chat about their addition to the United Athletic Conference coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, Jeff Kolpack will be in with us as we start week 3 of Bison's spring football. Lots to chat about there. And also some Bison basketball movement. As we discussed on Friday's show for the Bison women, Molly Lenz has decided to hang it up. She's not going to be playing anywhere else. She's done with her basketball career. And we found out this morning Amelia Hobson, the Australian, is in the transfer portal. That's the first Bison to actively depart. So that means 4 off of last year's Summit League Championship roster are moving on. 2 with graduation, 1 hanging up, and 1 moving on. As of here at 9:20, no word on the Summit League Player of the Year, which if you're Jory Collins and you're Bison women's basketball fans, you're feeling pretty good about that. So we'll discuss that with Jeff at 10 o'clock. As I mentioned, you'll hear from Michigan's Will Cheddar, Stewartville, Minnesota's own, about playing in the national championship game and the Bison connections with Will at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Monday. Already got a bunch of emails coming in. We'll get to them as well. We'll take our first break. We come back. We'll salute our best of the weekend, including for Bison L. Evans putting on a show at the Final Four this weekend. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns. We're back after this. All right, it's time for our best of the weekend. We do it each and every Monday. Now, there were no sporting events that happened this weekend locally because Mother Nature decided to dump a foot of snow on us. And I feel for you spring sport athletes. I'm hopeful by maybe this time next week we can finally get outdoors. We'll see. There's going to be some melting, but maybe a little bit. So we had to be creative on how we selected our best of the weekend. And we have a couple national things as we got it. One big local story that, of course, popped after Hot Mike wrapped on Friday was a story we've been following since news came out that she had entered the portal, and that was Bismarck's Bergen Kinnebrew, who was the NSIC Player of the Year this year at the University of Mary for Rick Newman. Had a great run. Decided to test the portal waters. In Division II, you can go whenever. There's no windows for Division II and Division III players. Only exists for Division I. So it's been out there for the better part of 2 to 3 weeks. Had a bunch of schools interested. She announced Friday afternoon she's heading to the Mountain West Conference and will play at UNLV next season. Kinnebrew wrapped up, who had a great NSIC tournament, 37 in a quarterfinal game last month in Sioux Falls. Joins a UNLV team that went 21-11 this past season, 15-5 in the Mountain West. Their season ended in the semifinal round of the Mountain West Conference tournament. Caps off a 3-year run at Mary where she was really, really good. And now we'll test to see how good she is at, I'd say, the high mid-major level. Group of 6 level. That's what the Mountain West Conference is. Second year in a row that the Player of the Year in the NSIC went in the Mountain West. Maddie Bragg, you'll remember last year from Northern State. She transferred to Colorado State, was really good for the Rams this past season out of Aberdeen. And now you've got Bergen Kinnebrew going to go from Bismarck, North Dakota to Las Vegas, Nevada. That is quite the jump. I believe we're going to have Bergen on the show later this week to chat about it. Of course, her younger brother is highly sought after in the high school ranks for the class of 2027. Congrats to Bergen as she'll be playing at UNLV next season. Now to a player we got to see firsthand for 2 years here in Fargo. She spent the last 2 years in Lawrence, Kansas, and on Friday night she was under the national microscope at the Final Four with the National Slam Dunk and Three-Point Contest, which also goes hand in hand with the Final Four. Elle Evans was amazing player in her short time here. I think really also sped up the transition of Bison women's basketball with able to get a player like her. And all I could think of if she was able to stay, what kind of team NDSU would have been. Well, this weekend she was competing in Indianapolis at the National Three-Point Contest. She led the country in three-point percentage this season. We already knew she could shoot the ball. Everybody else found out on Friday night because she was sensational on Friday. We have to rack this back if we can start it from the beginning because I got to set this up because she went in playing she won the women's side of this. So then she was facing off against CJ Gunn from DePaul for the men's championship. So she went, Gunn had 23 on his round. So she had to beat that heading into this. That was the setup for the final round. There you see the time, right? You got a minute to do it. And she misses her first shot, right? And then watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they get the money ball, which of course is worth 2. So she drains 4 in a row. Then, this was her favorite spot on the court. Hits 6 in a row before she finally missed one. And then, for good measure, after that, hit the money ball again. Okay, she's got 2 there. Then straight on, this was magic. 3 in a row. 4 in a row. How about another money ball? Missed that one. Now she's within range, right? Within 10. Hey, look at this. Just watch this. This is without any hesitation. She hits all 5 from that spot. Now you're thinking, all right, she's got a chance to win this thing. Hits another in the corner. 2 there. Misses, needs the money ball for the win and got it. That was fun. Her mom there in the stands to watch it. I think she even surprised herself with what she did. She won 3 separate events on Friday. Finishes her time at Kansas tied for the program's all-time lead in three-point field goal percentage. She had 137 of 314 attempts at her time as a Jayhawk. 43.6% matches the school record held by Sandy Shaw since 1988. 69 made threes last year. Made 68 this year. Great player. Fun to watch what she did on Friday night. Now, also fun yesterday, you had the NIT championship last night, went to overtime. Auburn won that. NCAA decided to combine all the championship games right around the Final Four. So you had the NIT last night. The D2 was played yesterday. The D3 championship was sensational between Mary Washington facing Emory in the D3 title game. Let's pick it up late, and I mean late in the game. Tied. It's 73-70, Mary Washington with the lead. 15 seconds to go. Emory in the white jerseys, cans a 3, makes it 73 all with no time remaining. Mary Washington comes down the floor. That's a school located in Virginia, by the way. Drive to the basket. Colin Mitchell is there for the putback at the horn to win the national championship. 75-73. That is heartbreak if you're Emory, because you hit an amazing shot to tie it. Like, all right, we're going to go to overtime. And it said it's always going to be identified as a pass. They played that at the home of the Pacers at Gainesville Coliseum last night. How about that? Congratulations to the good folk in Mary Washington, the D3 men's basketball national champs, 75-73, the final in Indianapolis yesterday. That's a heck of a way to win. Not like, hey, we won by 15 or something like that. No, we won on a buzzer beater that's going to be remembered forever. Fun stuff there. All right, last thing we got to do. The baseball rube in me saw this Saturday night, half falling asleep, like, nah, that didn't really happen. Now, there's no real reason to watch Mariner Angel baseball on a Saturday night, but when you have something that happened that what Joe Adele did, you have to see it again to believe it. So the Mariners and Angels are playing. Adele is the right fielder for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I use my old name for them. He had the game of a life. There's no other way to describe it, just to show you what happened, because he didn't make just 3 putouts. He made 3 of the greatest catches you're ever going to see. Robs Cal Raleigh here to start the game, which would have been a home run. Right? Like, all right, that's pretty good. Raleigh thinking, oh, can't get one there. Later in the game, Josh Naylor's up at the plate. Is this a carbon copy? No, it's another home run rob. That one even better by Adele. That one goes over the fence to get it, right? If he ended the game with that, you think, boy, that was really good. With Torrey Hunter, by the way, on the dugout. But let's go to the ninth inning. It's still 1-0. J.C. Crawford is up for Seattle. Hammers this one. Watch Adele. He goes into the stands, and he comes up with it. And he holds up the ball like the Lion King, like he's holding up Simba in the movie. Phenomenal. Phenomenal catch. That one I almost woke up the house with. I couldn't believe he made the play. There's a photo a fan got from the other side of Adele holding up the ball. I mean, come on. We may have had the play of the year in baseball on the 9th day of the season. That was phenomenal. Joe Adele. No one probably knew who he was Saturday at about 6 o'clock. We all know his name now on Monday at 9:30. Amazing stuff there. That's our best of the weekend. Do it each and every Monday at 9:20. We'll break. We come back. Sam Herder's back with us, and there's a new FCS team to introduce us to. The University of West Florida is moving up. We'll talk with Sam about that and a bunch of other stuff when Hot Mike returns after this. Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mike off and rolling here on this Monday. This is a look at the teams to move up to the FCS over the last 3 years. West Georgia, Mercyhurst, New Haven, Rio Grande Valley, Chicago State begins football this fall, and we've got another one moving to the FCS ranks. We found out late last week the University of West Florida made it official that the Argonauts are moving up from Division II to begin FCS play this fall, which seems like a perfect segue for our guy Sam Herder back after a week off. I had heard the news was percolating. All right, here we go. Perfect for Sam to tee us off on a Monday. It's great to see you, bud. This is not surprising. I think we've heard about West Florida for a little bit. They are now officially, or come July 1, officially an FCS member.
Yeah, we've heard West Florida for a while now, as far as a potential team to move up from D2 to the FCS. And, finally it's happening with them joining the UAC. I think it's or at least the UAC for football, ASUN for its other sports. But I think it's a really good addition for the UAC, who, I think needed some members, especially after the Utah schools left for the Big Sky. Tarleton's kind of always floating out there as a possible team to move up to the FBS. So the UAC has been looking for some members. I think they were targeting like SEMO and UT Martin for a little bit, and that didn't work out. So I think them grabbing West Florida out of the D2 ranks it is a good addition. And I think I tweeted it out. There have been some recent D2 to FCS moves that don't really move the needle a whole lot. You don't really expect those teams to make much noise at the FCS level. It was more so just some Eastern conferences kind of needing to add some members. But West Florida, I think, has big time potential because they have had a lot of success at the D2 level. They have a growing enrollment as a university. They're investing and they're upgrading, renovating their stadium. So I do think this is an exciting addition for the FCS.
And this is a team that's been really good in Division II, won a national champ. They're not even that old of a program, but they won a national championship a few years ago. They were in the same league that West Georgia came from in the Gulf South. That's a really good football conference that they think they can come in and automatically they got a rivalry again with UWG back.
And West Georgia made a decent amount of noise this year.
Yes.
They were, I think, undefeated for a little bit. They were playoff ineligible. But I think on this show we talked about, hey, if West Georgia was playoff eligible, how much noise could they make? And now you have West Florida joining the mix as well. And they're a young program, like you said. Their first season playing football was 2016. And then the very next year, 2017, they make the D2 national championship, end up losing. But then in 2019, they win the national championship. So they've seen, like I said, success at the D2 level. Now we have seen some teams that have had D2 national success move up to the FCS and haven't had, quite that level of success, like North Alabama, Texas A&M Commerce. I think they won a D2 national title somewhat recently. Then they moved up to the FCS. That's now East Texas A&M. They haven't necessarily moved the needle a whole lot, but there have been some like West Georgia, Tarleton State that have moved up from D2 to FCS that have seen success pretty quickly. Yeah. And I feel like West Florida is going to be in that mix as well, as far as teams that can find success pretty early on.
I just have a sense that they have supported it, that they are primed to be good. I just think they're going to have a seamless transition. I do, to the FCS level.
Yeah, and I don't know much about their other sports, but it seems this is a football move.
Yes.
Whereas some other schools that move to D1, it's more of a basketball move. And they have football as well, and then their football team, isn't funded like it has to be to compete at the D1 level. So it seems like football is kind of their athletic department's crown jewel. Like that's what they put the most stock in. And so you expect them to do the things necessary to compete at the D1 level.
Of those teams, we talked plenty on UTRGV last year. I think they are the ones primed for the most success. West Georgia's in there, but I put West Florida in that mix now too. Whenever they, 3 years they get eligible, but those are the teams now. For fans who are going to follow the division, we're going to see, I think, in a routine in the top 25 and likely in the playoff bracket.
Yeah, and we've been, with Jacksonville State and Kennesaw, Sam Houston, teams like that moving up, you can go back further to some of the SoCon powers. We've been kind of waiting and asking for some teams from different areas to step up. And, Tarleton State seems to be getting there. Yeah. And you mentioned UTRGV. They are playoff eligible right away because they were technically already D1. They just added a football program. Right. And honestly, I think they were maybe good enough to make the playoffs last year. It's just with their very first year playing football, they scheduled 3 or 4 non-D1 opponents. Had they not done that, maybe they could have made the playoffs, but they probably didn't realize it at the time. But that's another program that's in a really good area. They don't have much FBS competition way down in southern Texas, so that's another one that I'm keeping an eye on. And we mentioned too with West Georgia, I think they have really good potential as well.
Well, we've been clamoring for somebody in the South to get good, right? We know the teams, and you're doing your podcast with Brad Jones about the teams in this part of the world. We need somebody down south, like when we lost Georgia Southern, we lost App State, we lost Coastal Carolina, we lost Jacksonville State, lost James Madison. We need somebody in that part of the country to be good.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a part of that is realignment, just with all the dominoes that fall in realignment. It seems it's usually the southeast portion of the country that we've seen a lot of teams move up just because that's where a lot of the FBS conferences are. So that has hurt the FCS as far as the realignment. But I also think it's just NDSU setting the bar so high and what you need to do to win a national championship, whether it be facilities or nutrition, how you're investing in strength and conditioning, paying your coaches so you can retain them. Now you have to get money into the pockets of players, whether it's Alston or cost of attendance, now revenue sharing. So winning a national title at the FCS level, it looks a lot different now compared to the early 2010s into the 2000s. And so whenever you see a team from the South that is at least investing at a high level, it kind of perks your ears up a little bit as far as, saying, okay, they're doing the right things necessary to compete at a high level. They just need to keep on stacking that up and try to reach that really high bar that, frankly, the bar that NDSU sets. Montana State has met that bar. South Dakota State has met that bar. Montana is pushing to try to meet that bar, and there's some other teams pushing to meet that bar, but it's such a high bar right now that some of these southern schools are kind of looking at that bar going, we'll try, but I don't know if we can quite get to that level.
The FCS kickoff is dead. I would say it died probably the year after the Bison played Charleston Southern here at the Fargo Dome. You and I have talked about this a bit, but now it's official. Is this more the fact that the FCS is getting the earlier start, that the kickoff is now irrelevant?
Yeah, I think that is a part of it where, and I can't remember what the TV numbers are. I mean, they were fine, but it was
great.
It was once it moved to the neutral sites, the crowds just weren't there. I mean, it's one of the very first games that you see on national TV, if not the very first game you see on national TV. And when they do that early shot pan over the crowd and it's 30% full, it doesn't really get the juices flowing. And so I think once it moved away from the home sites, it just really lost its luster. And, I've been opining for a while that they need to move it back to neutral sites. But I think now with or move it back to home sites. I think now with the FCS fully moving into week 0, and it seems like the FBS is fully moving into week 0 soon enough. And we talked about that. Like, that's going to happen eventually. I just think that whole, like, the FCS spotlight to itself isn't really a thing anymore. So it kind of made sense that the kickoff just kind of, slowly went away.
Well, from the reporting we've had and we've seen, it looks like the FCS is going to have week 1 to itself this year. And then next year, looks like FBS is moving to that last weekend in August as well to start its season.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting if the FBS, if they can also, once they move into week 0, which will be the new week one, if they can also start their season that Thursday.
Right.
Because the FCS, they can not only start that Saturday before everyone else, but they could start Thursday and Friday. So there's a lot of TV windows there, which I'm sure the FBS and the Power 4 will gobble up, in no time once they start in week 4. And I also think it has to do with the CFP, kind of just moving the whole season back a little bit, just so the championship game isn't being played so late. And then how does that move into the FCS playoffs and TV windows there? It'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out.
I also think, we've talked about this, the NFL is poised to move on to Labor Day. That's why I think the college season wants to get off Labor Day, because next year in 2027, the NFL could go to 18 games, and they're going to start Labor Day weekend, which traditionally has been the start of the college football season.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of like a trickle down effect of, the NFL, what they do, and then the FBS kind of reacts to that, and then the FCS has to react to that. So the TV windows are just so interesting on how just things move around a little bit and all the moving parts when it comes to those TV windows.
All right, we're going to give you a new nickname around here with Hot Take Herder. A couple weeks ago, you had Idaho State. Now you're all over Austin Peay. What's the deal with the Governors? Why do you think they have a chance to be pretty good in 2026?
Yeah, I think anytime you start with, having your starting quarterback coming back, and Austin Peay has that, and Chris Parson, who I think is really flying under the radar, because Bo Brungard will take a lot of headlines, and so will the two quarterbacks from Montana and Lamson and Ayat. Have Chase Mason, DJ Williams, a lot of guys from the Valley as well. But I think Chris Parson is up there as far as being a top tier quarterback in the FCS. He's coming back after transferring to Austin Peay from the FBS level, and they were very, very close to making the playoffs last year. They went into overtime with Tarleton State. Had they won that game, they would have finished 8-4, which would have included that win over Tarleton State plus a dominating win over it was Middle Tennessee State. It was like 34-14, something like that. So and actually in overtime, they were a 2-point conversion away. They had a wide open receiver, and Parson, who was excellent that game, just airmailed it, and they missed out on a win there. So I think they'll be 1 year better, get into the playoffs. I'm not saying they're a national title threat or anything like that, but I think they're one of the teams that did not make the postseason last year that I could see in the 2014 bracket this upcoming year.
And they were supposed to play North Dakota State this year. They were supposed to come up here and play the Bison in Fargo, and obviously that's not going to happen. I believe they have Vandy as their FBS game, which will be a struggle, certainly, but I remember watching last year and fully anticipating we were going to see them here at the Dome this fall, and obviously that's not going to be the case, but they've got some talent. Be intrigued to see how good they are this coming fall.
Yeah, they do a pretty good job in the portal as well, grabbing some, like I said, Parson, he came from the FBS level. So they do a pretty good job attacking the portal. Retention, is decent for them, but they're in a really good area as well. They're, they don't draw huge crowds just because they don't have a good stadium, but they do, have a good town, as far as a town that kind of rallies around the football program. So I think Austin Peay is primed for a really good year this year.
All right, you just keep firing them off here on a Monday for it. Okay, we got Idaho State, we got Austin Peay. We're going to mark it down for this upcoming fall. All right.
All right, that sounds good. I'll have to, do some research and find another team to talk about next week. That's a little off the radar.
Let's do it. Sam, thanks for doing this, bud. We'll talk to you next week, all right?
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Sam Herder joins us each and every Monday to get our week started. Austin Peay, again, that's one of those ones we'll never know. They were supposed to come to Fargo this fall, but obviously that will not be happening with the Bison making the move to the Mountain West Conference. And I know we got plenty out there saying, I'm done with FCS. I'm not willing to break up yet. I think we have too many of our viewers and listeners that are intrigued to see what's going to happen. And frankly, I think there's a lot of Bison fans in denial. They're not going to want to see what's going on with the Jackrabbits, with UND, with Montana State this upcoming fall. We're fully going to have our eyes fixated on the Mountain West, and rightfully so. We need to, and everything else that's going on in FBS. But I think there are too many that are in denial that aren't going to be keeping an eye on what's happening with specifically those 3 schools I just mentioned. Let's break. We come back. We'll wrap up our first hour. Jeff Kolpack coming up in hour 2. We'll look ahead to tonight's national championship game and much more as we roll on a Monday morning edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. For those on the podcast, I'll do my best to fill in here. This is a shot from the Twins broadcast on Saturday night when they lost to Tampa by 1 billion of a empty, and I mean empty target field. Now, we did this last year, early in the year, and they weren't very good to start the season. Now, you add in the apathy of the fan base after what happened last year with the trading of 10 players, and you got this situation now staring you in the face for opening day. Now, last year, we had different attendance rates for, especially early on in the season. The announced attendance for Saturday, if we could put that back up, was 15,256. There ain't no way there's 15,000. I don't care how many tickets sold, whatever. There ain't no way I don't care how many are on this side of the camera, because there aren't that many. I bet you there was 2,000 there at most Saturday night. The first pitch temperature, by the way, was 39, and it was snowing during part of the game. That is brutal. And frankly, you look at yesterday, the weather was better. The sun was out, at least was warmer, and there were still gobs of empty seats. Tonight, imagine tonight. It's a school night. It's Monday night. Again, it's not going to be super warm out. The Twins are not great, and they have Detroit coming. Now, you might come out because it's Joe Ryan throwing tonight if you're a hardcore fan. But if you're trying to get the average fan to say, hey, I'm going to spend some money and come to the game, there ain't happening tonight. We're going to have more of that tomorrow on the show. I guarantee you, from the broadcast tonight. I know many are probably going to watch the basketball game tonight. More power to you. They're going to watch the Twins at 6:30, but there ain't going to be many actually in the stands watching either. Tom Pohlad is out saying all these things of, like, I'm going to be out in front and doing that. Like, frankly, we don't want to hear a word from you until you're actually ready to commit some actual monetary dollars to this team. Other than that, be quiet. A lot of people want that from this coast, but I have another hour to do. Let's break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. Jeff Kolpack on deck. Lots to chat about with Jeffrey, everything in Bison Athletics. We're going to do that when we start hour 2 on a Monday morning after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo. It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2, I forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4! I should have yelled 2.
All right, here he is on a Monday. His appearances are brought to us each and every Monday by Northwestern Mutual. Jeff Kolpack joins us, start hour 2. How's it going, buddy?
Good morning.
How are you?
It's Portal Week.
It's also Masters Week. I thought you were going to hit me over the head with that. It's ready to rock and roll.
Well, Tom Hoagie's not in it, so it's kind of dampered my enthusiasm a little bit.
Oh, not me. I'm ready to go. Seeing the commercials,
Who do you got? Who do you got?
Who do you think? I mean, it's Scheffler's to lose. I mean, if he's in the tournament, you have to pick him, right?
Well, is he in the tournament?
He's playing. He's going to win.
I mean, I know his wife is due.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that was a couple years ago. He did that, and he still won, and then the baby came a couple days later. So, yeah, okay. There you go.
The baby's here.
There you go. He's playing. He's winning. So, I'm actually really interested because this year they have opened up more TV windows for it. So that's always the biggest complaint, at least from even average golf fans, that on Thursday and Friday it doesn't start till 2 o'clock.
Right.
Not this year. Amazon Prime has coverage beginning at noon on Thursday and
2
Friday.
more whole hours.
Hey, it's better than nothing, man. By the time especially we still got snow on the ground, by the time we get to Thursday, I'm salivating. Give me something.
What blows me away is you're such a golf guru. You love golf.
I do.
You love watching it. You want to be in the Masters. There's a bucket list. Yet you suck at it.
I haven't. You know, the last time I played golf.
How's that possible?
You know, the last time I played was prior to my son being born, so I haven't picked up any clubs in almost 7 years. It's been a little bit. But he wants to play. The Jackman told me, Dad, I want to go golf, so we're going to do that this summer.
Absolutely.
I can't wait.
Yeah, put him in lessons. Go to El Zago. Let's go.
Yeah, we got a couple of places.
You got to get him to listen to my golf show. That'll help.
I'm sure that'll. He might fall right asleep. Email right away. Dom and Jeff, it appears the Bison have an abundance of quality safeties. Any chance a couple could move over to corner?
I've thought about that. Probably not if it hasn't happened at this point. You know, it's a different skill set, the corner and safety.
Christian Dudzik did it pretty much seamlessly, but he started at, people don't remember this, he started actually a corner his redshirt freshman year in 2011 and moved to safety. Brings that up because of the abundance of guys they have. I mean, we think Taylor Needy and Darius Givens are probably going to be the starters there. You have Jalen Crumby, you have Will Stile there as well. Jalen Archibald has played both positions. It was a true freshman last year. Maybe, but at the moment...
It's different body types in a way. I think the corners are a little more quicker, if you will.
And the initial
reviews... maybe hit as hard as a safety.
Right, and the initial reviews on the two transfer corners, and E.J. Davis and D.J. Volts are two of the fastest guys that have picked it up and have to continue to do that, knowing full well this is...
I mean, there's change of direction and all those coaching things that they look at, and... So I don't. If they haven't changed yet, they're not going to change.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because now's the time to change.
If you want to tinker with stuff now in the spring, certainly do it. Because fall camp is an awfully hard time if you're going to go and make a position move like that. The only one I can remember in fall camp, off the top of my head, is Esley Thornton. Esley Thornton moved from quarterback to linebacker in fall camp, whatever that was, 2013, 2012.
Yeah, and he's such a good athlete. He picked that up pretty quick.
You wrote a couple stories. I want to start first with Keenan Wilson. You wrote that yesterday, or was in the paper yesterday, on him returning, now being the guy. Him and Logan Larson up front with Elijah Wayne and Zach Vanderpool. Man, that's a really feisty defensive tackle combo.
Keenan had some portal interest, certainly, and he's a guy who's getting so many players have developed over 3, 4, 5 years in this program. He's another one. Came on, and if you look at their bio, it's just such a developmental track that these guys are always on. And again, I like his leadership thing too. He just came across in our interviews with him last week. What a good guy, leader, mature, all those things.
I believe him and Donovan Woolen are living together too, which is a helpful deal to have both paired together. Both are leaders in their own right. I remember Matt Entz, going back to Keenan, his true freshman year, 2023, resisting the urge to play him because he was having that good a run on scout team and practices. Like, he's going to be a guy, and Entz was dead on about him.
I think he was looking at his motor, too. And when you look at a defensive lineman, it's easy to look at height, weight, all that stuff.
Strength,
But to me, it's the motor. It's the Greg Menard factor that he wasn't the biggest guy ever, Menard, 6, 7, 8 years ago. But, man, he never quit.
No,
never quit.
He eventually got to the quarterback there. And I think, again, this is something that we'll find out more once the games start playing. I don't know how much we know or is touted of Mountain West offensive and defensive lines. I don't think that is the calling card of that conference, is the play up front on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, we asked Keenan, too, last week in availability, how much film have you watched? And really, I think his answer was a little bit. I don't think as much as the offense. I feel like the offense is watching much more film on other Mountain West teams at this point than the defense. I agree.
At least talking with Nathan Hayes, with Jackson Williams a little bit about it, the running backs about it, I got a sense that they have dove into it more than the defense has so far on that. Granted, for the defense, might just, hey, we're going to go out there and let's see what we got. They've done that. They've done that before, and it's worked to some acclaim. Right?
Curious to see how these Mountain West offenses, apparently they're more spread open. Have you watched film?
I've watched.
Maybe we need to watch film.
I've watched Hawaii. I've watched New Mexico, and I've watched UNLV, and all of them have really good skill. Hawaii has a left-handed quarterback that's coming back,
freshman of the year,
Micah Halahedo, who is the freshman of the year in the Mountain West. He had numerous portal offers to leave and decided to come back. He's going to be difficult, let's just say that, to stop.
Interesting on Hawaii, and I did a story on this, where Hawaii, the athletic department, went in front of the state legislature requesting money for NIL funding to fund athletics up to a certain point, certainly in football, but the whole department. And they're not talking $200,000 here.
No.
I think they asked for $5 million.
Well, it's a different world, man. Different states.
Wyoming's the same, going through the same thing, asking the state for money for NIL. How do you think that would work out here in the old North Dakota?
The old like Price is Right, loud
unless
noise.
Unless they went together with UND and somehow put some together a package.
That ain't gonna work.
No,
no. We had a story last night on potentially the Bison new starting right tackle in Kenny Anene, who transferred in from Kansas. He certainly looks the part. I mean, if you were just to go to practice and look at the guy like, wow, that guy, but he never really got coached at Kansas. He told us he's never practiced so hard in the first 2 weeks like he has at being here. This is a real key position. If this works, Kolpack, that sets up the offensive line how Tim Polisic wants to set up the offensive line this year.
I think this is the first time he's done the old double rep where they rep on both sides of the field and as an effort to make sure players aren't standing around during practice.
Well, he told me he's never been coached like this. Like, actually, Tim Polisic, who has offensive line background, coming over and actually talking to him about, it's like, I never had that at Kansas, ever, which is intriguing to think about that at an FBS school where they have numerous position assistant coaches. He said that to me, like, this is a brand new world for him to get used to.
That is strange. Do you find that in this day and age?
A little bit, but again, maybe that's why some programs struggle. You know what I mean? Some programs just can't get out of their own way.
I truly believe that some programs certainly don't work that hard.
Yes.
And it's getting hard to find players. You almost have to, I'm not saying beg them to go 6 a.m. workouts, but it's a different attitude, if you will, I think.
And certainly I think he found that out.
I think upper middle schools, these guys are getting up at 5 a.m. on February 3rd when it's 20 below out and trekking on to go lift and train.
If he works out, that allows Magan to move inside. That would allow Empey to go to center, and then you keep the left side intact with Babbitts and Tosted. That's okay if you want to roll with that for next season.
Don't look out for Gage Schmidt at center.
Okay.
He's a program guy. They like the way he's come along. Yep. He's one of those guys that will just absolutely do anything for the program.
Mankato, Minnesota's own. Okay. Keep an eye on that.
Don't overlook him.
Now, I am intrigued to see if it does. I mean, with Anene's got the physical look of it. That's how much can you get ready for it again during spring football before you get to fall camp? It's one thing. Okay, we think he's the leader in the clubhouse. Let's get to. I look at a couple other guys. Jack Lewinsky, Nate Schneckloff. Those are guys, again, you talk about Schmidt. They've been here now. This is their third year.
Yeah, I think for Jack, it's either now, right? Now or never.
And that's the thing. Polisic, I think I said it to you, and I know he said it to me, that the run-up for these guys, the runway is no longer, hey, we're going to give you 3 years. It's about half of that now. They got to know in about a year and a half if you can play or not, because if not, they're moving on.
So is he giving Jack the old challenge like he did Devin Lockerbie last year? Is it like Devin, okay, you either got to do it or you don't? And
I totally believe that.
Ended up really not doing it.
Correct. I totally think that. And it's also because of the 105 now that we got to figure out who's going to be on this team, right? We don't have any real wiggle room for guys just to hang around and be here. We have to determine what is going to be the lineup here.
A couple more years till I think they have to get to 105. It's a graduated number because players are grandfathered in.
Right.
Walk-ons specifically. But, and Mike had a good point in his column that are we going to see John Gores
less
anymore?
Of those guys? Absolutely. I would tend to think that's probably accurate. A guy that can be on the roster, maybe not even a diamond in the rough, but kind of a, hey, this would be a good program kind of guy. I don't know if those are going to be existent a whole lot more in the FBS world, especially in the 105 world where we need every spot, we need every guy to have some sort of contribution to the team. That's going to be tough.
Yeah, so we figure they're going to have about 20 walk-ons or so per year per roster. So it cuts down a little bit, puts a little more pressure to get the right walk-ons.
Right. And again, it also goes in development-wise that we got to see that trending in the right
if you're
direction.
not doing it after a year or two and you're a walk-on.
I don't think that's going to – I don't even think with people that are getting equivalencies as well. I think people that are getting money, I don't think they're going to – they can't hesitate on that.
No.
Not in this day and age anymore, especially of how competitive it is, and they know that there are other players out there that want to come play at North Dakota State, that they're not going to – we're not going to wait around. Nope. If this guy's not panning out and we thought He was, and we're going to zag and maybe go in a different direction now. I think that's another reality of this move that they have to take. I think Polisic was ready to go there. This only accelerated things.
It kind of reminds me, you were here in 2006? When you was. So it reminds me back in 06 when we weren't sure if you were going to pan out. And we're sitting there going, well, but if we had limited number of employees here at WDAY, you may not have made it in this modern age.
Can I tell you a funny story about that?
What? Yeah.
Well, first off, I was on, I don't know if they do this anymore for communications, at least here. I had a 90-day probation period, right? And I didn't buy anything. Not a thing until...
You were seriously concerned about the 90 days.
Yes. So my first day was September 12th, 2006, right? So when we got to December 13th, I went and bought a couch. Because I'm like, I told my dad,
Still got it?
Hey, yeah. No, I had it until I moved in with my wife, now wife. But they have to keep me now at least for the rest of my contract, which was a 3-year deal. Like they can't get rid of me unless I do something egregious about it, because I was not gonna. Yeah, I was legitimately worried, man. Yeah, they could send my butt back to New York. I'm mispronouncing town names like it's left and right.
It's like, who is this guy? God, he yells at me. He yells questions at me.
It was that first 3 months, man. I got. Think about it. The Bison played at Minnesota. The Twins won the division. I was down at the old Metrodome. What else? The Miracle UC Davis comeback. I fly on the airplane for the first time because the Bison men's basketball team is playing Texas Tech and Bobby Knight. I see you get decapitated by Bobby Knight for a question down there. I'm like, boy, this is
Jackson
did
play well. Next question. Thanks, Coach Knight.
Let's break. Let's talk about hoops. Portal season is here. The end of the basketball season is tonight, but portal season has begun. We'll discuss a couple movements on the women's side of things for North Dakota State and a couple other emails coming in as well. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns on a Monday morning. We're back after this. Welcome back, everybody.
You want to hear my first day story?
You got one?
Brief one.
Yeah.
First job, Jamestown Sun, 1987. Go down. First thing I cover, first day, is a region district something baseball tournament in Cogswell. Drive down there. It's like 95 degrees. There's no water. There were 29 walks. Game took like 4 hours plus. I'm driving back going,
yeah,
I don't know about this.
This is what I'm doing.
This is what I'm signed up for.
29
walks. I'll never forget it.
Wow.
I'm like, throw the ball across the plate, please. Somebody. And like the umpire, I go, zone, let's
maybe expand it a little bit, right? Hey, that might have nipped the corner. Email comes in. Jeff, can you give me your thoughts on NDSU's new president selection? Marshall Stewart has been named the new president of North Dakota State. What do we know?
I haven't met him. I don't know. I like his pedigree. I like his Power 4 background.
Much like David Cook had before he got here. Mm-hmm. From Kansas State, correct, is where Stewart is from?
You know, he never called me up and said, let's go to Chubbs.
Here's the thing. Like, every president that's coming, like Brashani was asked this. I asked him, Cook did as well, about the FBS thing. Now it's no longer a deal. Somebody got asked the new president now about how about the Fargo Dome? Is that the big thing now?
I'm going to go on a limb and say he's all in favor of FBS football.
I would imagine that's probably a big thing that
I would think that's probably part of the deal.
I know Matt Larson, the athletic director, was on the committee, on the search committee on that, so athletics was certainly first and foremost on that.
I'll say this about a president. I don't think it's so much about academics anymore as being more of a CEO.
I would agree with that. And being visible.
Being visible, raising money, being part of the engine behind it. Let the deans run the academic side.
I think, if anything, Cook was out there everywhere. It wasn't just athletics. He was everywhere.
And he was good at it.
Yes.
And you got to be good at it. You got to shake hands, kiss babies, and all that. That's part of the deal. You cannot be sitting in the president's house and going to Old Main in the office.
No, you got to be out there. I think the students really appreciated that from what I heard. Another comes in, boys, you haven't talked yet about Bison Wrestling. Yeah, that came down on, of all days, April 1st. I had to double check that it was legit.
Yeah, Mike just said that too.
NDSU's bound for the Pac-12.
Good move.
We had Obi Blanc on last week to talk about this.
The Power 4 and the Big 12, you can't compete. The money is too much. The prestige is too much. Every time they duel them, they just get hammered. 36-3 to Iowa State or something like that this year.
Missouri.
They never even wrestled them.
No,
Last time they faced Oklahoma State, it was like 17.
Missouri came up here, I want to say 5 years ago, because we televised that, and that was butt kicking. That wasn't close, and it's going in the opposite direction in terms of NDSU wasn't getting closer to Missouri. And Iowa State,
they weren't. And so the
State.
Pac-12 is more mid-major-ish.
Yes.
You have Oregon State carrying the flag for the Pac-12.
Yep.
Everybody else is affiliate member.
Right. I think it's
better for scheduling.
Right.
I mean, they had, 4 duels and 3 were within 5 days this year or something like that?
Right. And also, I look at it as well where there's a chance for these guys to have more success in the NCAA tournament.
Absolutely.
And Obi was talking to us on Thursday's show when he joined us that if we have a chance now to get seated in the top 8, and therefore your path to being an All-American is way easier than it is now where, I mean, Gavin Drexler, I think, was a 16 seed. He's going to eventually have to face, the number 1 or 2 early on in that tournament.
Again, covering those duels, it's 36-3. You hope somebody wins, so you don't have to go, okay, it's 39-0. Yeah. You talk to the coach and you go, well, better luck next time.
Correct. I think more often than not, those were not close duels. This
Division I wrestling does itself no favors by separating. It's just such it's like women's basketball. You have these elite teams, and everybody else is not even close.
No, it's
same with wrestling.
There's a wide gap there. I will say also there's a chance for them to host a conference tournament. That was never going to happen in the Big 12. It was always going to be in Tulsa, which is a de facto home meet for Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. That's not going to be the case now in the Pac-12. Another comes in. This is actually for our next segment with the men's basketball championship game tonight. As Jeff have any good Garth Cheddar or Casey Morlock story to share? Because obviously their son Will plays for the University of Michigan men's basketball team.
Oh, Casey was a player back in the day when.
My goodness.
If she was today's, no way she comes to NDSU, obviously.
From the get-go.
Miss basketball and comes to Division II school.
North Dakota State.
Gophers, what were you doing?
Right?
Wow.
Right.
She was one of the players, she could run the floor so well. And obviously Will got his. I mean, Garth was a good athlete, but not like Casey. Not even close.
It's a pretty neat deal for that family. But
she could run the floor as a post player. That was one of the. And it's more common now to get athletes that size. Like Avery can run the floor.
Yes.
She's still here, right?
As of 10:26, she's still here. Molly Lenz is not. Molly Lenz made an announcement on Thursday night that her basketball career is done. She's going to transfer and finish out her academic
Don, what's
career.
going on? She's going on for academic reasons?
Correct. It is
Are
not
you
basketball.
kidding me?
Let's talk a little on the basketball side of this, though. She started every game the last 67 over the last 2 years. This is a loss for the Bison, I believe.
Yep, and good shooter. And when she was on, she had a nice shot too.
Shot 40% from 3-point range. So that's one of the top 6 that's now gone. I mean, she's been a 2-year starter, transferred in from Illinois State, and was a mainstay in that lineup for the last couple of years.
Now does Jory go in the portal try to find her?
I think, or some sort of facsimile of
I
that.
thought a player who had potential is also now Hobson.
Yes, Amelia Hobson is going to be in the portal as well. That is now official today because the Division I women's basketball portal opens today, and her time at NDSU
So she wants
is
to
done.
play more. I'm thinking, well, Lenz, you may be able to fit in that spot. A shooting guard.
See, the thing was, I think she didn't shoot it well enough, though, to make them. You know what I mean? Like, when she would come in, it would be her opportunity to make a 3, and too often than not, it wasn't going down.
Well, if she wants to play more, she can go to Omaha and play more.
Well, there's
plenty of Summit
available there.
Anywhere in the Summit.
Her size is the thing that was really appealing, though. I mean, she's 6'3",
she's long.
right? She could have a pretty good wingspan and be able to maybe make some plays there.
I think really good defensive potential, too.
Yes, that's what I thought, too. And she got some run at the Summit League tournament when Coonan got in foul trouble. I want to say the St. Thomas game, that she played more in that game. Like, all right, there's some stuff here that could potentially come down the road, but obviously that's not going to be the case.
Well,
so
if you don't want to be here, go.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So now Jory Collins has a couple of spots to try and fill, and I'm assuming with the kind of success they've had, knowing they're going to probably bring back Avery Coonan.
Will that help?
I would think they're probably maybe some doors will open there.
Yeah, do you want to come to a team that has potential to reach the NCAA tournament?
Right. There it is. There's the selling card right there. We've got a heck of a chance to be really good again and make the NCAAs next year. Want to come? I mean, there's the end of the sell right there on that. It should be, at least, for what Jory Collins wants to do. The men's portal opens tomorrow. As far as we know, the names that are out there are going to be the names that are going to go in
like
tomorrow.
Most everybody? Those names?
Half the team?
Yeah.
Yes, that's going to be the case. I don't foresee any other surprises. If they haven't already announced, then you're likely staying.
The only player that left that I was a little surprised was Emil Skuta.
Yeah.
Now he's going to his third school. I thought he would have had a chance to start next year.
That's another guy, right? I thought there was potential there.
So, how can you just not be happy anywhere?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think the other ones, like Max Marley, wants to play. Trayson Anderson, we're not surprised. The kind of size he has and what he did, he was gonzo. The other two we knew were going to be gone. And Travion Carson, he's a first-team Summit League player. Yeah.
That's usually
that's
your ticket money.
Right,
Yep.
That's your ticket to the Power Four. That's the way it works. That's the way it has been over the last couple of years. Again, people that are just waking up to this, like, wow, this is the way it has been.
I bet
when basketball's been more volatile than football over the last few years.
when Travion, when that first team, All Summit team came out, he was just like...
Well, I can tell you, his agent was certainly probably thrilled about knowing the full well that he was going to be able to get some more money coming.
Your headphones are a little loose.
Those aren't mine. Maybe your head's too big. There's a whole other deal.
No, my head's too small. They came off.
You have a Masters pick before we go? I said Scheffler. Who you got for who's going to win this thing?
Tommy Fleetwood.
Ooh. Has he won a PGA event yet?
No, it's time.
Wow,
Dude.
that'd be a
Veteran
thing to break through to win there. All right.
Foreign players usually do okay in the Masters.
They have. Yep. Rory obviously won it last year. We've seen plenty. Matsuyama won it a few years back.
Did you apply for credentials like you did before? Like you apply like 8 of us. How'd you think that was going to work out? When we're bringing 8 people down. So we'll just clear out CBS a little bit, Dom. We'll have some room for you here.
So when the Masters responded like an hour later after my request went in, rejected. I'm like, well, boy,
that
not
was a
messing around.
serious rejection. It wasn't just, we'll think about it.
Other entities normally take their time. We're going to look it over, see who's coming. I remember talking to Stace, I'm like, yeah, that got swiftly rejected after putting that in. No surprise. Great to see you, man. Thanks for coming by. Jeff Kolpack joins us each and every Monday at 10 o'clock. We'll break. We come back. We mentioned men's national championship game tonight. There's a distinct Bison connection to the game tonight. We'll talk about that and much more when Hot Mike returns after this. Welcome back, everybody. Another reason why I love our listeners and viewers of our program, I got an email sent to me from a website called cordcutternews.com. Not familiar with it, but I am familiar with the story. Because we're coming down the home stretch, obviously, of the NBA and NHL regular seasons. And this is the end of the FanDuel experience. It's been a roller coaster here, starting with Bally, originally with Fox Sports North and all of that. We are in the home stretch here because Main Street Sports Group will officially wind down after the first round of the NHL playoffs, according to Sports Business Journal. Sources said that Main Street's 13 NBA teams were informed of a league call Wednesday that they will likely be reimbursed some portion of this year's lost rights fee payments. So that involves the Hawks, Hornets, Cavs, Pistons, Pacers, Clippers, Grizzlies, Heat, Bucks, Timberwolves, Thunder, Magic, and the Spurs. Also, 7 NHL teams are involved with that, which is the Hurricanes, Blue Jackets, Red Wings, Kings, Wild, Predators, and Blues. Why we bring it up? Because both Minnesota teams are involved. So we're in year 2 now of Twins TV, where the Twins took operations to Major League Baseball and they produced the games. Now the Wild and the Wolves both are going to have to find new television partners to produce the games. And that could very well be within the NBA and the NHL. What I'm telling you here is how you've grown accustomed to watching said teams will be drastically different next year. If you went and spent the money on the Bally app to just stream the Wild and the Wolves, if you did that a few years ago and that's worked, then you're going to have to figure out a different way starting next basketball and hockey seasons because it's going to be different. And frankly, we don't know who's going to take over on it. This is the part that we have no idea where it's going. But I appreciate that our listeners and viewers are on top of this and sent me the email. I had not set aside time to talk about it yet because we just had other things going on, but we could do it here for a minute because this is a little bit more on this. FanDuel Sports Network reached separate agreements with the NBA and NHL to maintain game broadcasts and related programming through the designed endpoints of the current seasons. This arrangement ensures continuity for fans until the wind down takes full effect unless an unexpected strategic transaction materializes in the coming weeks. Nothing's coming. Many staff members have already departed the company, while others remain on retainer bonuses until mid-April, and a minimal crew expected to handle operations through mid-May. Now, in the past, let's talk about the Wolves here, because the playoffs are right around the corner. You have gotten used to, well, hey, I want to watch the games with the normal Wolves broadcast crew on FanDuel or Bally in the first round. That is over because of the new NBA TV deal, because now all the games are exclusive nationally. So when the Wolves start the playoffs against Denver in 2 weeks' time, those games will either be on ESPN, on Amazon, or NBC. That's it. Or Peacock, right? That's where you're going to be able to find the games. It's not going to be on Bally. For the Wild, that is different there, that the first round, because the Wild will play Dallas, those games are going to be, you can watch them on TNT or ESPN, but you can also watch them on Bally for the first round. And then if the Wild are lucky enough to advance, they haven't done it in over a decade, then those go exclusive to ESPN and TNT after that. But the NBA will be drastically different. I think there's a lot of people that are used to watching the first round with Michael Grady and with Jim Peterson, who are great. Grady's done more Amazon games, so he's less on Bally now. That is over. And now for next season, who knows? If they go the local route, like some teams have done that, like the Suns have done it, Utah did it with the Jazz, that's the way to go. Article continues, interest from entities like Amazon, YouTube TV, and the ESPN app have already surfaced, with some platforms viewing local successes as a stepping stone to larger national bids. It's going to be interesting. Here's another one on the Wolves. For fans, the changes could mean adjustments in how they access games, with potential shifts from traditional cable packages to app-based streaming or hybrid models, which is where everyone's going. Teams will need to balance revenue goals with accessibility to maintain strong local support. And that's the thing on the Twins that over now they've had it for 14 months of how many people still are able to watch the games or access the games. Like we know Sparklight here locally doesn't carry Twins TV. Here in our building, we don't have the Midco package to watch the Twins here. You have to have a separate sports elevated package to get the Twins on Midco. Same with DirecTV, same with Dish, if you want to watch either through cable or satellite. How many have been left out in the cold on that? I imagine it's quite a bit. I imagine it's going to be just the same for the Wolves and the Wild. The Minnesota Timberwolves, for example, might integrate non-nationally televised games for both the NBA and WNBA squads into a unified streaming strategy. I can see that the Wild and Lynx would pair up together and say, okay, we're going to put all of our games available here, and you pay a flat monthly fee or a yearly fee to watch the games. And now I have to contemplate how I expense that for next year, because I want to watch the Wolves play. I want to watch the Lynx play, but that will suddenly come into that. So I appreciate that email coming in, because I hadn't had a chance to get to that. Speaking of hoops, we mentioned earlier in the show, the men's college basketball season will end tonight in Indianapolis with Michigan and Connecticut. Tip time is 7:50 tonight. Shout out to them moving it, I believe, a half hour earlier. It used to be 8:20, which growing up it was 9:20. I always had to beg my dad, can I stay up to start the second half watching the national championship game, because I wouldn't get to the second half till 10:30 Eastern time back in the day. As it is, it starts at 7:50 tonight. And we have a North Dakota State connection in the game tonight with Michigan's senior Will Cheddar, who is the son of Garth Cheddar and Casey Morlock, playing played quite a bit the other night in Michigan's win over Arizona. This is video from when they clinched a spot on the Final Four. You can see Will there holding the regional championship trophy, was overcome with emotion about his team making it to the Final Four. For a guy that was, and Casey mentioned this when she was on the show last week, and here's the family with the 3 Cheddar sons and Garth and Casey on the outside there flanking them, of sticking with it, that there were so many players that left. And Will is one of only 20 guys in Power 4 basketball that played his entire career at one spot. He played 15 minutes the other night, grabbed 3 rebounds, had a big assist as well on a 3-pointer in the Michigan rout of Arizona. A lot was made after the game that Dusty May, the head coach of Michigan, said that they went and practiced to get ready for playing at Lucas Oil Stadium, in a football stadium, at the Big House, that they played, practiced inside of Michigan's football stadium. They were asked into the press conference yesterday. Cheddar actually got a spot at the press conference. That's what they had to say yesterday in Indy.
Will started it. He sent it in a group chat. He was like, yeah, you guys need to get up in here. And we were all like, I don't think we're going to do that. Yeah. But at the same time, we come to the gym anyway and we get up shots. So I was with Drew at the time, and Drew was like, oh, we're going outside. I'm like, all right, let's do it. I'm ready for it. And Will set that foundation.
Will, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it was a sunny, warm day. I had my shirt off. I was vibing out there, man. It felt like I was back home on the farm shooting hoops. You know, I feel like when, you know, we were laying our foundation for this year's team, and the pieces started to click, I felt like we definitely had a good understanding of what our goals were going to be as a team. You know, obviously getting a little bit of taste of, you know, what a championship, you know, feels like last year at the Big Ten tournament. I felt like, I mean, I don't want to speak for Namari, but I feel like him and I are on the same page in saying that, you know, we wanted more of that in the upcoming year. So, you know, to kind of be, you know, in this situation and then obviously be matched up against, you know, T. Reed with, you know, the great guy that he is, and, you know, kind of just drawing back to like how much he meant to us and, you know, that tough year. It's a really, really, you know, cool opportunity.
That's the part that makes this really unique, with guys that willing to stay. As it's ironic considering tomorrow we're going to talk plenty on the portal opening and guys moving on and finding other places to play. Will would have had his pick of the litter, honestly, of where he wanted to go had he decided, to move on. If he decided to go in the portal, he would have had numerous lineup teams from every mid-major, Mountain West, you name it, that would want him to go. And he could have played, could have been an all-league guy, all that. Instead, he decided to stay. And now he's got a chance to win a national championship on a team that he stuck with. I mean, Juwan Howard was the guy that recruited him. And they were bad. They won 8 games a few years ago. And now here he is on the other side of this with a chance now to celebrate tonight. That's pretty impressive stuff. Excuse me. He's also got the chance to brag with his mom, who has a few national championships in her back pocket, that he would have a chance to end his career on the biggest of stages, on the brightest of lights, and win tonight. That's pretty neat. Because I distinctly remember we had Will on the show at least a couple of times when he got offered by NDSU, and I think when he committed to Michigan, we had him on to discuss the start of the process and the end of it, and was overwhelming. He's the biggest of deals. In southeastern Minnesota, he was as big as it gets. When the University of Minnesota came calling and Michigan came into the mix, like, this was blowing up. And now he's got a chance to play tonight and be part of a national championship team. We'll see. Connecticut is, I mean, come on. They're playing with house money here after how they beat Duke a week ago yesterday in the regional final, and then they go and knock off Illinois the way they did. Going to be awfully, awfully hard to beat. And we'll preview that coming up here in just a little bit. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll put a bow on things. Twins play tonight. We'll see. We'll wrap up the show on this Monday morning right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a Monday. Getting ready for the start of a busy week on tap. Of course, we got plenty of coverage coming from Las Vegas later this week. Our guy Riley Swenson, he's been The traveling man. That's such what happens when it comes with a big job at WDAY. He was in Buffalo for the NCAA men's basketball tournament. No, he was in Sioux Falls for the regional in hockey. He'll be heading to Vegas later this week for the Frozen Four. We'll make sure we have him on Thursday. UND plays Wisconsin on Thursday afternoon at 4, and then Michigan and Denver in the second game. I am awfully intrigued. This is the first national championship to be played in Las Vegas. The Final Four is coming. We've had the Super Bowl. The college football national championship game is coming to Vegas. But this is the first in hockey. And with UND, with the teams they got there, boy, they have already thought attendance would probably be pretty good. But who they got there, man, it's going to be a gong show out in Las Vegas. We'll have plenty of coverage on that to get you ready as the week goes on. UND has its first practice, its only practice in Vegas on Wednesday afternoon. I believe it's at 1:15, if I read correctly, over the weekend. But that's when they're set to take the ice at the home of the Vegas Golden Knights. It will be quite the event. And ESPN's changed it up a little bit in terms of its television coverage this year. Traditionally, obviously, this always... and I wish there's 2 sports I wish would change 3 that would change the time of their seasons. One is wrestling, because wrestling has to get its championship away from the first round of the NCAA basketball tournament for both the men and the women. It just is. It's a cluster, you know what, and it gets swallowed up, and it's too good of an event. And I know the audiences don't intersect. I understand. But it's too good of an event to get swallowed up. 2 is hockey. And I know the season's already too long to begin with. I would move it back, actually. I'd start it in December and go to late April. And I know that makes no sense, but again, because this weekend is the Masters. And and after the final, it doesn't make any sense. The last one is baseball. College baseball needs to get out of where it's at and put that Todd Brown, who's the New Mexico baseball coach, you'll see him soon, former Bison baseball coach. He was championing this, and he's right on about it. To play that in early July, play the College World Series in early July would be the best thing for it. As it is, ESPN2 will be the home for the semifinals for hockey on Thursday. The championship game, though, will be a 4:30 puck drop Central Time on ESPN. They're back on ESPN. For years has been an ESPN2 exclusive. So that's a big deal for college hockey to get on the big ESPN on Saturday. And an earlier start time as well. That's a 2:30 Vegas puck drop for the national championship game on Saturday. So we'll get you ready for that coming up as the week goes on. Let's get a couple emails in before we say goodbye. I don't know where this came from. Don, will the Bison football players have their name on their uniforms? I like the team idea with no names. I have not heard that. The only thing that's likely changing about the Bison uniform is a patch. A uniform patch will be coming because that's now allowed. What sponsor gobbles that up will be intriguing to see. But no names are coming to the back of the jerseys, but that will be the only change coming here in the not too distant future. Don, did you see yesterday the celebration for Byron Buxton? I did. They honored him his 10 years of Major League Baseball service. I'm just glad he was able to play. If anybody saw what happened Friday afternoon in the home opener, and he takes a 95-mile-per-hour pitch off of his hand and elbow, like, here we go. That's initially, I texted my father-in-law right away, like, here we go. He got hit. He's probably going to be out. Thankfully, he wasn't. One last one before we get to what to watch. With the portal opening, Dom, any update on Enderlин's Joe Hurlburt? Nothing yet, because I know a lot back here would say, well, is North Dakota State interested? Both UND and NDSU were the first to offer him. Gosh, as a freshman. This is testing my memory, probably like 6 years ago. He started his career at Colorado, transferred a couple years ago, went to Davidson, got hurt. I don't think he played a whole lot, and he announced last month he's in the portal. I don't believe a reunion is coming in the imminent future there. He's probably going to stick maybe in that league, maybe somewhere around that part of the world, but I don't believe he's coming to the Summit League. Appreciate all the emails today. We got a lot of them, a lot of good comments here. Let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. All right, right, what to watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. Mentioned tonight, the night championship game, Connecticut, Michigan on TBS. This might be the final time that TBS has it with the prepared Paramount Warner Brothers merger. CBS might get everything back under their umbrella. TBS has it tonight for Connecticut and Michigan. Twins are going at 6:30 tonight, so by the time the Twins game is uninteresting, you can flip on the basketball game. Twins TV for that one. Casey Mize and Joe Ryan are your starters for that one for the opener of a 4-game set at Target Field. And the reason we have the Cubs and the Rays on, it's the first game back at Tropicana Field in a year and a half. Remember, the hurricane ripped apart the Rays' home stadium. They are back home for the first time this afternoon. As we leave you, another look at that D3 buzzer beater for Mary Washington as they beat Emory yesterday to win the D3 title. Thanks so much for joining us here on a Monday, everybody. Have a great day. See you back here tomorrow.